Welcome to the political discussion where we discuss politics. So today we're going to be looking at the 2020 Labor leadership election. It just wrapped up not too long ago. Sir Kier Starmer was the victor, winning 56% of the vote. Um, this was expected. He had been polling first from the start of the race, and it was expected that he would pull out the victory. Now that he's won, we have to look towards the future. How exactly will he lead? He's a newer person in Parliament. He was only elected in 2015, so he doesn't have the political history, say, Boris Johnson or a Jeremy Corbyn did before they became the leaders of their respective parties. However, we could look at uh, the challenges he has to overcome and potential ways which he could do it. So let's look at the last elections results. The last elections were devastating to the Labour Party. They came into the election with 262 seats, winning 40% of the vote in the last election, and they left with 202 seats, only winning 32% of the vote. The Conservatives were able to increase their majority to 65 seats. Before they were shy of a majority by 9 seats, and well, from the last election results, due to Boris Johnson expelling around 20 members, um, they had a much lower. Um, the number of seats were much lower than the needed majority, but they have regained the majority after this election. So let's look at the vote share. So Labour lost 7.8% of their vote share that they had from last time. The Conservatives did not really gain much, so that just shows that the Conservatives' victory was more of a Labour collapse rather than a Conservative victory. And the Brexit Party, of course, having an impact in several Labour seats in the heartlands, were able to um, get a lot of Conservatives elective due to taking from Labour votes. So let's look at the map. Historically, this was in 2001 when Tony Blair won the general election and won over 400 seats. So where did Labour win? Of course, they had several seats in the London area. They were very strong in the former industrial towns in the north of England, uh, strong in Scotland, strong in Wales. So they had strong appeal all over the UK, and they were able to gain seats to be able to gain such a huge coalition. Looking at their current seats, we can see that their quote unquote red wall was completely cracked, destroyed, what have you. It was the Conservatives beat them there, and that is the key contributor to their massive amounts of seat losses. But also several seats in London, several seats in Wales, in Scotland. They were basically wiped out. They were wiped out all across the board. So this is the challenge for Keir Starmer. What is he going to do? How is he going to get to number 10? Will he ever get to number 10? Personally, I don't think he will because there is such a great challenge to overcome. But he needs to build a Labour coalition. And who's the Labour coalition going to consist of? Will he go the historic route of getting the former manufacturing towns, young people, and people in larger cities to vote for Labour? So we see in the Northeast, and then getting competitive in Scotland and Wales, so that they're able to take seats away from the SNP, take seats away from the Conservatives in Wales. If he's able to do that, he will be able to regain the Labour coalition and possibly regain um, the majority. However, it's a tough task. In the Northeast, we have to see whether or not the voters in the Northeast have officially switched to the Conservative Party or will back the Conservative Party from here on out, or if they backed the Conservative Party because they did not like the Labour platform but do not like the Conservative Party more than they disliked Labour last time, and it was not enough to flip them in the long term. We don't know if that's the case yet. So we'll have to see if that's is the case, and the North does go back to the Labour Party. Then he has a much easier task, but he still has to uh, regain ground in Scotland and Wales as well, and in southern England. One another possible task for him, or another possible path he can take, is try to eat into the conservative heartlands. So the conservatives eat into their traditional heartlands. If he can do that by trying to get into the into southern England to try and build his coalition down here, then he might be able to regain the coalition by having strength in England. Of course, he needs to be more competitive in Scotland and Wales, regardless of what strategy he takes. So he has a huge task ahead, and it's going to be interesting over the next several years. He has 4 years before the next general election. It's going to be interesting to see how exactly he's going to maneuver and how exactly he's going to be a foil to Boris Johnson's charisma. That's something that won him the election last time, and we have to see if he will be able to combat it. Jeremy Corbyn, of course, had his own style, but it didn't seem to work very well, and it was an electoral failure. So, will Sir Kier Starmer have the same disadvantages? We'll have to see. Only time will tell. But thank you for tuning in. If you like the video, please like and subscribe. And once again, happy Easter.